Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be making this pinafore dress that you can see on your screen right now. So if you're interested in this kind of video, keep on watching. So we'll start by drafting out the upper part on our pattern paper. As you can see, my pattern paper is folded into two, and I will start taking my measurements. So the first measurement I will take is my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement divided by 2 is 7.5 inches. So I'm going to remove 1 inch from the 7.5 inches, which gives me 6.5 inches. So I'll place that. So whatever you have, reduce it by 1 inch. So I'm going to go down from that point by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I'll connect into the neckline. So we don't need a bust measurement for this pinafore dress. What I'll do on the length of my upper part, which is going to be my waistline, I'm going to take my waist measurement. I'll also divide it by 2. So I'll divide my waist measurement, which is 7 inches. I'll divide it by 2, and which gives me 3.5 inches. I'm going to place that on my waistline, and I'll connect from my shoulder line to meet my waistline like this. And for my neckline, the neck width I'm going to take is 3 inches. I'll place it like this. And for the neck depth, it depends on how deep you want your neckline to be, and it depends on the type of neckline that you want. So I'm going to take a V neckline, so I'll go down by 6 inches. You can go down by 6-7 inches. So this particular neckline is for the front, so I'm going to slant from that 3 inches. You can see that I made a mistake. I didn't place my ruler on the neck width, so I went ahead to do that later when I realized that I made a mistake. So make sure you slant from your neck width to meet the neck depth. I hope you understand. Yeah, so this neckline is for the front. So I'll go ahead and take the neckline that I want for my back, which is a round neckline, just like you see me doing. So I slanted all the way to meet the same inches. So the neck depth for both the front and the back is 6 inches, and the wideness is 3 inches. Like I said before, don't forget to slant from the neck width to meet neck depth. So I'll go ahead and cut out the front neckline first, because I'll be using this pattern for both the front and the back. So remember, my front neckline is a V-neck and the back is a round neck. So you can determine the type of neckline that you want. After doing that, I'm going to open it up like this, and I'll split it from the middle so that I'll have one for the front and one for the back. And yeah, so remember, I've already cut out my front neckline, so this particular one is for the front. I'll go ahead and label it. This is my neckline, so that when I'm cutting, I'll not be confused. This is my waist, this is the side and the center. So I'll trim out my back neckline just like you see me doing. Don't forget, I said I made a mistake, so I'm going to adjust it. So this particular one will serve as my back pattern, and I'll go ahead and label it also, just like I did for the other one. So these are my two pattern papers for the front and for the back. So I'll go ahead and use my pattern to cut out on my fabric. So this is the fabric I'll be using. I have my lining and I have stay to strengthen it. So I'll go ahead and cut everything that I have on my pattern paper. I'll cut it on my fabric and my lining. So after cutting out, this is what I have. As you can see, I added half an inch allowance to all the sides except the neckline and the center of our top. So yeah, this is what I have for the front and for the back, and I also increased the length by 1 inch. So before I forget, the length of this upper part is 16 inches. I took 15 inches at first, and then I added 1 inch to it for seam allowance. So I'll open it up like this, and I'm going to place my stay on the wrong side of my fabric, and I'll go ahead and iron it. So the rough part of the stay is where you are going to place on the wrong part of your fabric. When you iron it, it's going to stick. The next thing I'll do is to go ahead and cut the skirt part of our pinafore dress. So my fabric is folded into two, and what I'll do is to take out the 15 inches that we already have on the upper part, and the length of this dress is 43 inches. So before you cut out the skirt part, remember to remove the half length that we already have on the upper part of the dress. So the upper part that we have here will serve as my waistline. From that point, I'll go down by 10 inches, which is the distance from my waist to my hip, and I'm going to connect into a straight line like this. So this is my hip line. On my waistline, I'm going to take my waist circumference divided by 4, which is 7 inches. So this particular skirt, the zipper is going to be on the side, so I'm going to add 1 inch for that, 1 inch for zipper, and 1 inch for stitching allowance. So I'm adding 3 inches to my waist measurement. I hope you understand. And on my hip line, I'm going to take my hip measurement divided by 4, which is 9 inches, and I'll just add 1 inch for stitching allowance. I'll connect from my waistline to meet my hip line with my ruler, and on the skirt length, I'm going to take my hip measurement divided by 4 minus 1 inch. So whatever I have on my hip line, I'll minus 1 inch, and then I'll slant from the hip line to meet the skirt length. So I'm doing this because I want my skirt to be penciled. After connecting my points with my ruler, I'll go ahead and cut. So this is my fabric for the back. It's already folded into two. What I'll do is to bring the front. So like I said before, I'm going to be adding a slit to the back part of the skirt. So to do that, I'm going to take 1 inch all the way from the beginning to the end of this fabric. I'll connect the lines, and then I'll split it open. The slit is going to be at the back, and the zipper is going to be by the side. So I'm going to split my slit open, and next thing I'll do is to trim out what I have on the side. The only difference is the slit. The only difference between the front and the back is the slit. And then I'm going to notch my hip area and my waist area, and I'll open up my slit like this. And don't forget to take in your darts. I forgot to do that on camera, so don't forget to take in your darts. What I'll do is to place my fabric on each other like this. That is the two back fabric. I'll pin, and I'll go and sew the slit part open. So I've already ironed my hair stay to my fabric, and this is what it looks like. What I'll do is to join the fabric and the main piece together. So this is the front. I'll place it like this, and I'll go ahead and pin all the way around so that it will not move when I'm sewing. So after sewing, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to sew both the front and the back. I'll turn it inside out like this, and I'll top stitch towards the lining. After doing that, this is what I have. I'll go ahead and give it a good press so that everything lays flat. So the next thing I'll do is to join my shoulders together, and just look at the way I'm going to do it. So I'll place the two shoulders on each other like this. The lining is facing the lining, and the fabric is facing the fabric. I'll go ahead and pin, and I'll sew on a straight line. After sewing, this is what I have. You can see that inside is clean. So this is another way to join your shoulders together. And the next thing I'll do is to join the sides together. So what I'll do is to fold every other part into this one shoulder. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, just look at what I'm doing. So I'm folding the first part into this very shoulder, meaning the other part of the shoulder is going to stay inside. So I don't know how else to explain this, but just look at what I'm doing. So I'm going to pin it down all the way to the end, and I'll go ahead and sew. After sewing this first shoulder, I'll open it up, and then I'll sew the other one. I've gone ahead to sew, and what I'll do is to notch it all the way around, and I'm going to open it up just like this. So this is what one of the shoulder is looking like, and you can see that everything is inside. So what I'll do is to sew the other shoulder. So just like I did for the first one, I'm going to put this one into this very shoulder like this. I'll match up the shoulders, and then I'll go ahead and sew on a straight line. After doing that, I've also gone ahead to notch it just like I did for the first one. I'll go ahead and turn everything inside out, and I'll give it a good press. So you can see that everything is nice, everything is looking clean. So it was at this point that I realized the mistake that I made before. So I went ahead to loosen everything, and I decided to start over. So this is what I have. I also went ahead to cut out my band. The wideness of my band is half of my waist measurements, and I added 2 extra inches to it. I cut out 4. You guys will know why I cut out 4 soon. So half of my waist measurement is 13 inches. I added 2 inches to it. So what I have here is 15 inches for the 4 belts. I also went ahead to fold in half an inch on one end of the band. You guys will understand why I did this. Yeah, so on the 4 bands, I went ahead to fold in half an inch, and I ironed it in place. So what I'll do now is to join the band to the waist area. So I'll go ahead and notch the middle point of the band, and I'll also notch the middle point of the upper part just like you see me doing. So I'll be using 2 bands for this particular waistline. I'll notch it like this, and I'm going to place one of the band on the right side, and I'll place the other band on the wrong side. So I'll place the 2 notched areas on each other, not the side that I folded in and ironed, the other side. So after placing my band like this, I'll go ahead and pin all the way to the end of the band, and I'll go and sew on a straight line. I'll repeat the same thing that I did on this waistline. I'll repeat it on the back waistline. After sewing my band in place, this is what I have. So the next thing I'll do is to join the skirt part to this waist area. So this is my skirt part. I've already gone ahead to take in my dart, so don't forget to take in your dart. So I'm going to join the front first before I join the back. So I'll bring the skirt part like this, and you can see that everything is matching up, and I'm going to open it up like this, and I'll place the waist of the skirt inside my band like this. So this is the reason why I folded half an inch. So I'm going to pin it like this. So take your time and do this, and make sure everything lays flat before you go ahead and sew. So after pinning, I'll also do the same thing for the back. So remember, the zipper is by the side, so I already went ahead to close my slit line, the one that I opened up before. So I'm going to pin it like this. I'll pin all the way to the end, and I'll go ahead and sew the front and the back. After sewing, this is what I have. You can see that all the rough edges are hidden in the band, and this is the reason why I folded the half an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the skirt. So on my waistline, I'll place my waist measurement divided by 4. On my hip line, I'll place my hip measurement divided by 4. And on the waistline, I'm going to leave my zipper allowance because we still have 1 inch for zipper allowance. So just place your measurement from the beginning to the end, and then you can sew your skirt and close it up. So that's what I'm doing right now. So after sewing my skirt in place, I went ahead to turn it inside out, and this is my zipper allowance that I left open on one side of the skirt. So I'm going to go ahead and sew my zipper in place, and I'll hem the base of my skirt, and I also closed my slits. And yeah, that's all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Please don't forget to like, be kind enough to leave a comment if you learned something from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.